Hey, how's it going, guys? Ancient Rune here, back with another Diablo 4 video, and today I'll be going over my Blood Surge build for Necromancer. Now, I'm able to push this pretty easily to tier 100 in pits, and this can go further. I know other people have pushed Blood Surge to around 120, but that's also a lot more like GA and making sure Master working is perfect and really good setup. And I'm still slowly working on that, but the base outline I have is still set up so you can still follow this along and it will do really good. Now, a big thing with Blood Surge is making sure we use Paranormal Blood Surge, which is a version of it where when you're healthy and you damage an enemy with Blood Surge, then you gain 1 stack of Overwhelming Blood, and when you have 5 stacks of Overwhelming Blood, your next Blood Surge overpowers. Now, this overpower is really good because there's just a lot of boost to it, and Blood Surge is just extra damage and a big mold for that. So we are trying to get to that as fast as possible, so we're getting a lot of attack speed as well as ways to get extra Blood Surges on that overpower to get that extra damage, as well as just boost that we get while overpowered and just in general. And since this is a blood skill and a core skill, there's a good amount of bonuses we can get with this to make it really good, as well as some really good unique stuff, increase the power. If you find this helpful, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel, and consider becoming a member to get videos early, as well as maybe join the Discord so we can chat some Diablo. Alright, so first we'll go over the gear, and I'm just going to say first we have the Cures Embrace. This is going to be one of the main things you want. You can do this build without it, but this is going to help so much, and it's purely because of the blood drains plus 6 times or plus whatever times from elites. This is just really good, so if you overpower, you're getting extra drains from Blood Surge right there. That'll just get that overpower, making it really good. And all the stats on here are good. You have maximum life, which helps, Blood Surge drains from elites, Blood Surge, and Tides of Blood. The effect doesn't really matter as it's really low base damage, and that damage increase only boosts that mini nova, and that mini nova doesn't really matter, but the effect is still good because it's an easy way to consume corpses for other boosts. That means we have an extra slot down here, which is really important for even more damage. Now, first off, we have the Air of Perdition. This is just a big boost. It's got core skills, crit chance, lucky hit chance, and then it's got the 60 times molt. I would focus on getting boosted crit chance and core skills. I have 3 into lucky hit chance just because I use this on other builds where I like the extra lucky hit chance for certain things, but I probably would not focus on it. A main thing though is just making sure you get 100% crit chance at the end of the day. This is 94, but I have other stuff that boosts it even more. So that extra crit chance is just really nice, but I personally don't have to boost it on this build. Vivid Seed's nice but irrelevant. And then I have the Topaz on here for intelligence. You really just put 2 Topaz on any of these. And then we have the Shroud of False Death. This is really good because it gives plus stats, plus max life, and then as well just plus 1 skill to all passive skills, which just ends up being a lot of damage boost from all that increase of skills. With this, I would focus on probably max life here for when you overpower for that increased damage. I have it on all stats because again, I'm using this on multiple builds right now, and the all stats is better all-rounder. And so since I'm not focused on pushing this specific build to the max, I'm still min-maxing as much as I can, but I don't want to farm from where Obusite, so we're going with this. Then we have the Cures Embrace. Now coming back to this, I'm going to explain it more. This is where the Blood Surge drains enemies from elites, as well as just getting points of Blood Surge and Tides of Blood, and then also maximum life and consuming corpses. Now, mine isn't the best. I'd probably want the GA point into Blood Surge drains enemies or drains elites, and you want to go all in on that, but getting it in Blood Surge is not bad at all, as well as Tides of Blood. The only thing with Tides of Blood is you have it in a lot of other places as well, to where you get diminishing value, where because it's a multiplier, it's still, you're adding up the same multiplier, so you can still spread out damage sources elsewhere. Like I have 13 points into Tides of Blood right now, where going elsewhere could be more beneficial. But basically, you're just focused on getting those extra blood surge drains from elites. And then we have Indira's Memory. This is really just for the stats. This bottom part does not matter at all. It gets Tides of Blood and maximum health, which is really good. Overpower doesn't really matter too much because we're not... It's an additive stat, so it's not doing much and we aren't getting anything special from it. So really that, so I don't have it as good right now, but I have points in Tide of Blood for the star, which is really nice. And then have the Master working in some maximum life. And then here I have the concussive strikes on the boots. This is when lucky hit has a chance to daze enemies, and daze enemies gain increased damage. Now this is mainly something that's used for pit pushing, but since this is lower, quote unquote lower tier build, not really, I mean it's no blood wave, but still I found this needed a lot more than blood wave to push the higher tiers compared to using cursed aura. Lower tier you can still go cursed aura, it's really easy. We just have it on our runes, which I'll go over later. On here I get additional armor on here, so I can get that 1000 armor threshold, and upgrading it really helped me get that threshold. I mean, there's some other places I think that I can get extra armor that I might not have. Like I don't have points, I have one less point in the spiked armor, so I don't technically need that. And then also I could go extra armor increase in Rahir's Guard, as well as just armor on the boots with Master working, or with tempering, or on my amulet as well, which I did not do. The movement speed part, like with the dash, I'd go extra dash or extra movement speed. It doesn't really matter as much as getting the bottom part. I would have GAs in either intelligence or max health. Armor's nice but not needed. And then with tempering, I went with movement speed just to move around faster, and then blood surge nova size. This is just really good as it'll hit more enemies. You're still bringing enemies into you, but still having that little extra nova size can be nice if enemies don't want to be brought in together, which I've noticed sometimes. And then for the amulet, you want to focus on intelligence and collects blood, and then a third damage boost. I have amplify in here just because I got a G on amplify. I'm using this. You could also use Tides of Blood, would be really good on here. Really just anything that boosts damage, but you want that higher tier percent damage boost and still like even out, so you don't have too much of a diminishing value. And then I'd probably focus on boosting either intelligence or codex of blood here to get the most boost you can. And then with the tempering, I have ultimate cooldown reduction. Then I have corpse size explosion because I'm moving this to a different build. So I changed this before making the video on that for this. But you would want to go blood attack speed on here, or you could go something like armor, but you mainly want to make sure you get that ultimate cooldown reduction, as that'll mean you can cycle your soul rift more. And then I have the Eagle's Eye of the Great Feast. This is for the increased damage when you have no active minions, gain increased damage, but you lose essence per second. This is fine though, because you gain essence so easily that it does not matter. I rarely find that I'm out of essence, and when I am, I can easily just stack it back up, no problem, and nothing to worry about. And then for my first ring, I have the intelligence and max life, and then attack speed, and then just get a GA in whatever of those, all of them are beneficial. And then ultimate cooldown reduction for tempering, as well as blood attack speed to increase that even more. And then we have the Grasping Veins. This is just a really good damage mode, and if you don't have enough crit chance, then this is just some extra crit chance boost. I don't need the crit chance, but this 50% mold is still really good. You could go the sacrifice aspect, but I was doing some math and I didn't really need it. The crit chance can be nice, but again, you can get crit chance from here. Sacrifice aspect is a little more consistent damage, but from what I found, this can be better. And then I have the Starless Skies. This is when you spend your primary source, reduces the resource cost of your skills, and increases your damage for 3 seconds, 10 times mult, up to 50%. So this is just really, really good because it also has core skills and attack speed and crit chance, and then also has lucky hit chance, which is still beneficial on this build for getting corpses mainly, and actually just a lot of stuff. Lucky hit chance is good here. But you really want to make sure you get a good amount of attack speed and crit chance, as well as core skills, so you can kind of fluctuate with that. A lot of this is just fluctuating to your max stat, because attack speed also has some max stats, but I'll go over that after the gear. So try and focus on what you need. Getting more core skills will always be good damage. I'm not sure if there is some diminishing value. I'm sure at some point there is, but it's not bad at all. And then for the weapon, we are using the mace because this is overpower damage and just a big stat. Because overpower damage isn't the biggest stat in the world, because it's additive, you don't need to. I'd probably focus on the bottom tiers instead. It's still really good. It's more damage, so you may as well focus on that. But you want to get your intelligence and max life, as you always do with a blood build. And then you're going to want to get lucky hit chance, restore primary resource. This is incredibly good, as this is how we keep up our resource for the most part. There are some other stuff we have, but this is still really nice. And then we have blood attack speed for tempering, and then we have chance for blood surge to deal double damage. This is what you're focusing on with masterworking, is getting this as high as possible using this and your offhand for getting up to 100%. You can't reach exactly that, it seems, but you can still get a good amount, which is really nice, and get as close to 100% as possible. And then I'm using the cadaverous aspect, as consuming a corpse increases your damage of your core skills and ultimate skills up to 35%. Because of Cure's Embrace, we are getting this constantly, so it's just a really good and consistent damage bonus. And then the offhand, I'm using Bloodbath, as this will gain an extra Nova, just a free Nova for only 10% less damage. I tried using this with a double hand as well as Amulet, but it's not that big of a difference. It's only like a couple percent more, where you could get like another damage boost here or a better damage boost up here, compared to having a little bit better of a second Nova. I really like this with the lucky hit chance, as for more lucky hit chance is really good. And then intelligent max life and cooldown reduction. You could get another lucky hit chance of restoring primary resource. Definitely not needed at all though. I think you might be able to get attack speed here. I could be wrong. But in tempering, you want the blood attack speed and then chance double blood surge damage, and then focus as much into the blood surge damage as possible. All right, and then we have the topaz on one of these three, and then we have the runes here. We have the Tamwat, where we could cast a non-channeled core skill, which then will invoke a Horrid Necrotify skill, which is just really good for applying a curse, as well as executing enemies when they get low, which is really nice in higher tier, which means spending less time with them, but also slowing them and reducing their damage is really nice. And then we go Pak Zhao, which we are spending primary resource to then get 20% max life for 6 seconds. We're constantly spending resources, so this is really easy to keep up. And then we go overpowered gems on here, as we're getting our main damage from overpowering, so may as well, and it's a high damage boost. And then up here, I mean, the exact placement doesn't matter, you just need these three. Then we have this one here, which is the overpowered damage mult to hexed enemies. And then we have the 3 or more growth and decay witch powers equipped. You gain 8% mult main stat, and then you gain 10% mult max life, as well as becoming unhindered, which is just huge for Necromancer. and probably just most builds, as it's increased damage for the primary stat. You just deal more damage, and then the max life means you deal more damage with the blood skills with overpower. And then I have, well, you have an aura active. Your ultimate skills are now treated as Eldritch, Growth, and Decay, and Psych skills. Now, we're not using ultimate skills for damage, but this will come in handy later, which I'll go over. And then these are just really, really good to get and focus on as you get easy armor, as well as resistances. All right, so with attack speed, there is a cap to 100% in 2 different nodes. There's attack speed 1 and attack speed 2. And I will show the image up on here. And this is from Maxroll. This has a list of the different categories where you have 100% and 100%. And so you have up to 200% attack speed. It does not go over that. So if you go over that 100%, let's say you have 130 attack speed in one category, you're only benefiting from 100% of that. So my specific gear, I added up to make sure I get as close to and maybe a little bit over 100% in those categories. So you want to keep that in mind and use this image to get your correct attack speed that you need. So if you go a little bit over the attack speed you have, then that's fine, and you can change it up as you need to. All right, and then this relates to one of the occult gems I use. We're going to go over the Witchcraft next. First, we're going Paranado, as this is just good for drawing in enemies for your Blood Surge. Very useful and just really good to have. And then we go Breath of the Coven. This is why I use that specific occult gem for my ultimate skill. Dealing damage or applying crowd control with an Eldritch, Psych, or Growth and Decay effect increases your attack speed up to 15% for 10 seconds, stacking once per category up to 45%. That's half of a attack speed node there. So I use that gem to just easily apply that with my Soul Rift, which is up 90% of the time, 100% of the time in mobbing, and most of the time in bossing. So that's just really easy. And then when all 3 are active, you gain 25% lucky hit chance, and lucky hit chance is really good for a lot of our effects. So having more of that is really nice. What you could do is, if you didn't want to use that occult gem, you could throw on the cycle here and have a Growth and Decay effect, and then remove one of these, maybe Hex of Whispers, because I think you can get plenty of Fortify without it, and then have 3 Growth and Decay there, and then throw in something else and have at least that 30% attack speed is still going to be really nice. And you will have the lucky hit chance, which still will be a good witch power to have. But I like to have that 45%, as it allows me to focus on attack speed elsewhere and just have that easy 45%. Is just really, really nice. And then we have Aura Specialization, which gains our aura more size. Also get more crit damage, but not really the focus. And this is because of Aura Siphoning, where you will heal for each enemy you damage. So it is just constant healing, which is just really, really nice. And more enemies hit by it means more healing, which means you're alive more. Then we have Soul Harvest, as this will increase our core stat. And then we have Hex of Whispers for Fortify, and also having that 3rd Growth and Decay skill. And then with the Book of the Dead, with our Skeletal Warriors, we have 10% crit chance. And then we have Overpower here with the Skeletal Mages. And then with the Golems, we have 35% crit damage. And since these 2 are mults here, they are just really good and really easy damage bonuses. You could go the Wild Vulnerable, but it's just less. And you're getting your big damage while Overpower anyways. Even though this one is more consistent, it won't really matter too much. Alright, and then for the skill tree, we are going Reap here. You can take one out of here. I like Reap for that initial hit, automatically spawning a corpse, but you can take that out. We're mainly getting Reap here for the attack speed, which is really easy to do, as you just hit an enemy before they die, and then you gain bonus attack speed, which will then go into Blood Surge. So mainly you just have to get 2 points, and you need 2 points anyway to get down to this tier. So Reap is just the best option for it. Also hits a lot of enemies in a group really easily, so it means lots of hits for essence gain and just lucky hit chance. We have Blood Surge, we got a lot of points into it. Go max it out and then just have those extra points from like your gear, as well as Enhanced Blood Surge, which will heal you. And then you have the Paranormal Blood Surge, which is going to give us that Overpower, being consistent for our big damage bonus. And then we go 3 points into Hued Flesh, as one, we want to get them perfectly balanced, but also because we want to make sure we spawn as many corpses as possible to consume for our damage boost. And then we go in perfectly balanced for that 20% damage increase. Even if it's increasing how much essence we use, we gain it right back, and we also have those essence cost reduction. And then we go 1 point into Blight because we are getting Supernatural Blight for that 20% increased damage. You are using this when you group up the enemy, so throw it in there, and then you got a 20% molt. Then we go down here and we get Blood Mist. This is just really good for survivability. You get crowd controlled, or you get in a tough spot, you use Blood Mist and get out of it. But it's also really nice to get an easy damage boost with Dreadful Blood Mist, as you'll get increased crit chance, but mainly the increased crit strike damage 5 seconds after Blood Mist ends. I'm mainly using it for this increased damage boost, and it's just 1 extra point because you mainly still go Enhanced Blood Mist for that Overpower, reducing the duration or reducing the cooldown. And that crit chance is good if you need it. And then because we already have blood or Corpse Explosion going, we don't need to go a point in here, so we just go 1 point into Grim Harvest. We gain more essence when consuming a corpse, which is still really good because we're using essence so much, but we're mainly going for Fueled by Death for getting that damage increase, which we'll get when we consume a corpse. And then you want to go 3 points into Titan's Fall for increased damage while fortified to elites. And then you'll want to go as much spiked armor as you need to for getting that 1000 threshold for armor. And then you can go 1 point into Necrotic Fortitude, but I really didn't find the need to. We already have 1 point here, and we already have Barrier going up with Soul Rift, but you definitely can if you want to, but there's better points found elsewhere. Then here we are getting Decrepify. We are going down to Abhorrent Decrepify so we can get that active cooldown reduced. This is how we're going to be cycling our cooldown because we have lucky high hit chance and we're hitting so much with Blood Surge. We are going to easily get back our cooldowns, especially with mobbing, and pretty decently in bossing as well. So it means easy cycling of all our skills. And so because we're cursing enemies, we have points in Amplify, got 3 points there. I have some extra points in Death Embrace. It's a damage molt, so it's still good, and you get some damage reduction for close enemies. If I could put extra points, I would here. I don't really know where else could be flexible points. I may just, if I need to, I would take points out of here, honestly, or anywhere honestly that has a high amount of damage increase because of diminishing value. You could go points in Precision Decay for increased lucky hit chance, but you really don't need to, and it's just a waste of points. And then we're down to this tier. We're getting Corpse Tendrils. We want to get Blighted Corpse Tendrils for a chance to spawn a Blood Orb. We already have Transfusion doing that, but more Blood Orbs is good. We also have Corpse Tendrils to bring in enemies as well as stun them and slow them when they're pulled, or at least before they're being pulled. And then we're going these blood skills with Colex Blood, Tides of Blood, and then Transfusion. This is for Blood Orb. These two are for damage. You could go points in Drain Vitality for Fortify, but I found you do not need to. This 1 point is plenty enough with all the luck hit chance you'll get. And then we go 3 points into Reaper's Pursuit. You have 3 dark skills here. You could throw in more if you really want to get even more movement speed and more damage, but 3 points is all you need here. And then we have Finality. We're constantly activating our action skill or our ultimate skill, so we are constantly getting this damage boost. And then we're getting increased bonuses from Sacrifices with Memento Mori, and then we're getting damage reduction from Standalone. And then I don't go points in Inspiring Leader because I don't need the extra crit chance. But if you need the crit chance, this is a perfect place to go here. And then we go Rasmus Vigor. We're not really cycling this Overpower part on the top, but we are getting this 120% molt increase to Overpower damage, which is really important as it's just 1.2 times increased damage. So you definitely want that. You're going to go up and around and get the overpower damage from Dominate, which is just really good boost. And all the extra skills I go on these boards, I would leave for last, as it's just kind of with the extra points I have. And you mainly want to go for that molt damage or just max health or resistances, where this extra damage, the overpower damage you get per point, isn't as needed. So we'll go down here, get some max health, and then we'll go up and around. And the next word we go is the one with Bloodbath, as this gives us increased damage while overpowered, as well as increased damage to blood skills. So we'll go around and go in reach here for the Essence, increased damage with critical hits for enemies that are not healthy, and this is 22%, so this is huge and you definitely want it. And then you'll loop around and go here for Bloodbath. And then we'll go around here. We reach some damage reduction as well as element resist. You really will just get as many elemental resist points as you need. And then we'll go down here. We'll go for the frailty board with the curse stuff. So we go around here. We get the corporeal glyph, where we'll get the physical damage, and it's just nice because it requires intelligence, and we want to get intelligence points anyway, so may as well. We'll go around here, get some attack speed and max life right here, and then we'll go here and get frailty for the increased damage while cursed, and we're constantly cursing enemies, so it's basically free damage. And then we go down here and get some max life, and then we go down here and get some extra armor. If you don't need the armor nor the elemental resistance, then you can just consume these points and throw them elsewhere, but for my setup, I do need these points. Alright, so I had some audio mix-up, so we're on the D4 Builds website just to show off the rest of this. So once you're done with this board, we'll be going around here, and we'll go up and get some fortified generation and damage reduction. Damage reduction is always really good. And then we'll go up to the next board, which is the blood begets blood. And so we'll go up here and we'll get this max life, which then goes to the node with the sacrificial glyph. And we don't go this way, even though it's less points, because of this blood healing here. It's just better to do. So we'll go up and we get these nodes here and unlock the additional bonus. And then we'll go up and around and get blood begets blood, and then get this max life here. Then we'll go back down and get this max life here and go up to the next board. We can actually do this little post thing, just a little bit additional intelligence. And so then we'll go around here, go up and around, and we'll get some max life here. This side doesn't really matter, it's just corpse seed and damage to injured enemies. And with this board, we have Flesh Eater, which is consuming corpses, really big damage boost. And then we'll go around here and get the Eliminator glyph, which is increased damage to elites, as well as boosting normal nodes. So we go around and get every intelligence node here, as that'll just boost our intelligence a lot more, and that's a big damage booster for us. And then we'll go up around here and get some more max life. Now, if you want to follow along this easier, then make sure to check out the D4 Builds link that I will have in the description. And with the Mercenary, I go right here. I know you can also go Subo, but I like to go right here. You either go for Inspiration or Mocking Lure. It depends on what you need. I go here, I get Draw Fire. When you use a healing potion, right here it taunts enemies. Mainly because I don't need this resistance. But if you did need resistance, then I would go this instead, as this isn't too impactful. But then we have Bastion, which helps protect you and gain Unstoppable for a little bit, as well as getting Inspiration for that 15% molt. I don't know if allies includes you or just allies for this 25% molt, but if you're in co-op, it's good for allies, which is nice. Otherwise, you'd go shield charge, where here's guard. You mainly go this if you need the armor, and then you go provoke and then mocking lure for this increased 15% damage. And then support, I go Alderin or Aldkin for slowing enemies as well as reducing their damage. And then I tie this to Blood Surge. Now, other stuff you can go for main mercenary is going to be Subo, where you'll get bargaining chips for this increased damage when you overcharge, but this isn't always there, even if you're overpowering, because that overpower you specifically have may not be strong enough, and so you use that up. So I like to go over here for that consistent, quote-unquote consistent damage, so that's why I do that. And then you can also go Faryana for Bloodthirst for that increased attack speed, but I already hit the cap for that node where I would get this attack speed, so that's why I don't use it here, but still really good. Alright, I talked a little bit about priorities before with the Cure's Embrace. This is still a top priority, but what you also want is, must-have is 1,000 armor, or as close to it as possible. You can use potions if you need to for high pit tiers for that. And then capping out resistance. You want to cap out the crit chance to as close to 100% as possible. You want to get as close as that 100% on each node attack speed as you can. You want to get Cure's Embrace. And then you want to get as high into that double Blood Surge as possible. And then some other stuff is making sure you get these mythics. Now, you don't need them for this build to be viable. It's just a huge damage boost. So you may be lower tier without it, which is fine. You're still building up your build, and that's how it happened. And then you really want to make sure you just have some sort of curse application, as that's how you're rotating that Soul Rift. You could use the Fast Blood aspect instead, with consuming blood orbs reduces ultimate cooldown, but once you get far enough, you won't need that. And then just getting ultimate cooldown and really good amulets going to help a lot. And then just lucky hit chance at core skills. I don't really have this listed down, but then of course you want max life and intelligence. And of course the damage boost skills, but those skills are really easy and you just improve them as you go. So I don't have this technically written down in order, but yeah, that's what I'd focus on. And then the gameplay is basically just activating all your skills, like your Soul Rift, Corpse Tendrils, Blight, and Blood Mist as fast as possible. I don't think there's really a specific order I would go. Maybe Soul Rift first and Corpse Tendrils, as well as Reap in there. You just basically activate these 3 skills and then Blood Surge. And if your enemies are close to dying, then I would activate Reap one more time and then Blood Surge again to make sure you get that increased attack speed as you just keep going and going and going now. And that's kind of just how you do it. I'll make sure to post another gameplay video in the future. That's just a full-on gameplay run, probably a pit 100. So that's what's easiest for me. But for now, that is it for the video. If I missed anything, make sure to comment down below about it, so I can improve it and answer any questions you have. And I'm still improving this build, and you can improve this even further. Make sure to like the video if you haven't, and subscribe to the channel for more Diablo 4 content. I will have this on a Diablo 4 site, which I'll put in the description down below. And I will see you guys next time. Peace.